are back here on Girl Talk. Susan Eison has joined us, and we've just been finally we decided that we better start our conversation again. Share with Jerry your business, the business that you are marketing.
Sure, Jerry. I work for Daybreak Adult Care of the Lowcountry, and if you don't know what that is, basically what we do is we go into homes of older adults and help them with things around the house. It could be personal care if they're not able to care for themselves. There's a whole host of things that we do, whether it's transportation, companionship, or just a short-term post-hospital stay, just to help them get back on their feet, because the hospital stays are much shorter. So even a lady, you know, we have a client who had breast cancer, and her spouse had to continue working to bring in the money, so she needed some extra help at home. There are a lot of different scenarios, not just elderly people.
It's not, and
not just elderly.
That's really a key component.
Right,
here.
it's adults. You know, we don't work with children.
Jerry and I,
You know, car accident. I mean, and you've got your family has to keep working. You know, it's unfortunately, you know, with you know, the way families are, we're all spread out. Like, yeah, I know you've got to go home and, you know, help with your dad, or your father-in-law comes to visit, so you all can, you know, help him. So,
you know, one of the things I think we get intimidated about, though, is how we're going to manage this in our budget. How do we pay for this? Are there creative ways? I mean, I just don't know.
Because it's not something necessarily that insurance will help with.
No, it is not something that Medicare pays for, your regular Blue Cross Blue Shield pays for, and creative, it's out-of-pocket expense, and it can range anywhere. I actually just did a survey online. I was looking at some stats, and the average cross-country is about $20 an hour. For the home care, and it can be, usually there's a minimum, so it gets to be kind of expensive, but it's worth it because you get the personal one-on-one, you know, and this is with companies who are insured and bonded, who've done background checks and things on their clients. No,
but I don't even look at it as a luxury, quite frankly, and I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I'm sitting there, you know, when I went up with my parents, it wasn't as though that money they would have been spending was frivolous. It was necessary to maintain their activities of daily living.
Absolutely. It's necessary, and, you know, studies show that caregivers are taking off, you know, huge amounts of time from work. They could lose their, you know, jobs. Unfortunately, so then, you know, that becomes an issue. But some creative ways are some long-term care insurance policies now are starting to cover this because it's become so prevalent. And so older policies now, they're coming up with riders to, you know, help cover this without waiting periods.
Well, and isn't it more affordable than having to go into an assisted living kind of situation or, you know, something like that? So you would think that there would be some sort of support there.
And I think that the trend, at least my evidence says that the trend is aging in place.
Yes.
In other words, aging at home.
That's a great
right, and our tagline is "There's no place like home."
Okay.
You know, like Dorothy said.
Right.
And you know, that's kind of, I don't know if you've seen our rack cards and brochures, but it's an elderly lady. It looks like she's in a nursing home, and she has on like a gown but red slippers, and, you know, she's going, "There's no place like home." Because there really isn't. Studies have shown people heal faster, they recover quicker, they thrive in their own environments. And when you take someone, especially someone with dementia, out of their environment, they are not going to do well.
Let me ask you another question about respite. I know, again, in being a primary caretaker, sometimes it's exhausting and overwhelming. Is this also a good opportunity for you all to come in and offer some respite for primary caretakers?
Absolutely. That's one of our specialties, is the respite care, giving the caregiver a break. It can be very overwhelming. A lot of times there's a guilt factor. You know, stop doing things that you enjoyed. Maybe you do decide, I'm, you know, going to leave work. I've got, you know, this much in savings, and so absolutely, we take care of the caregiver.
And you can do as few hours or as many as are needed, right? So it's not like there's a minimum there where you
3-hour minimum, but we can be creative. We do go into assisted livings too and help there.
Give us an example of really quickly in 30. Give us a good example in 30 seconds of like some of the things that you actually do.
Transportation to appointments, companionship, improving quality of life through, if someone liked to garden or golf, we do those things with them. It's not just babysitting. We're engaging. We're, you know, being there for the patient and the family.
And again, there's other ways to be creative and help pay for it.
A new face. I'm sure it's very refreshing.
Exactly. Engagement.
Engagement. It's good. Stay with us. We're going to be right back here on Girl Talk.